Hey, Justin, welcome back to our sessions. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, Dharam. It's great to be back with you. I know it's been a while, but we're finally closing in on a closing of summer here, hopefully soon. I know everybody's hot except for the folks in the southern hemispheres, but looking forward to some fall at this point in time.
I know. It's heat, very hot summer in Dallas, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to my trip to Sydney. Welcome again, Justin. Thank you for your ongoing input to the community. So we have done several podcasts so far, and all of them are great topics and good discussion. So in the same series, I got another topic to discuss, and that is very, very hot topic. Yes, we're talking about hot and heat summer. The topic we have is about agile, emotion intelligence, and how agile and emotion intelligence go together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Especially with you really have to exert some emotional intelligence when everybody is so irritable of the heat nowadays. So
Exactly. So you need to feel what people are going through. Yes, you're sitting in the air-conditioned room and you're not going out while the folks are working outside. The very hot summer. But so if you don't feel what's going on in their emotions, with their body, physical and mental, you will not able to connect with them. And
yeah, no doubt. I've probably whether I'm blessed or cursed, so to speak. I growing up in the upper Midwest of the U.S., where the extreme cold versus now living in the Middle East for the last 13 plus years. I always find it fun to have those discussions with folks local here to this region, and I always tell them, it's cold when back at home where I grew up, where the Fahrenheit and Celsius scales start merging in that minus 30 degree range. And so I always laugh when they say, I don't how does anyone live in those type of elements? I said, look, you have to understand that they're looking at you wondering the same thing when it's so hot over here, and they go, yeah, I never thought of it that way. So it's always fun to kind of have experienced both extremes, so to speak.
exactly. Look, the body is very flexible. It can accept a lot of heat and a lot of cold, but when it goes extreme, that's where the problem starts. And that's where it's impacting a lot of people around the world. The hot summer, which is going on for some time. So to connect this same thing with our topic, which is emotional intelligence. And as I said, if you are a manager, a leader, or running the project or program, you need to feel for your team members, what we are going through emotionally. And if you are not getting the expected the outcome from them, it may not be just they don't want it to work for you. It's just because they are going through some emotions or something happening in their life. So sometimes talking to them can be game changer for them. Just simply maybe, okay, how's things going? Okay, maybe I can help you with something. Okay, tell me, talk to me about it. So some simple listening can also bring a huge difference to somebody's life. So
Yeah, no question. And I think even before, of course, the today's topic, but even going back into your stakeholder engagement and management within internally, understanding your team and being more in tune again when you're developing those relationships, being able to understand, what they might be going through, not necessarily being nosy and getting in too much into their personal life, but having that ability to understand what's going on in their life to a certain extent is going to pay dividends, just in being able to understand what particular things motivate individuals, because everybody's motivated by different things, and that will really be able to, quite frankly, get the most out of your team members. Where yeah, again, we always go back to my football days, and one of my coaches always said, look, I can't treat everyone the same. That's just not possible. We can
mm,
only treat everyone fairly. And so though that's still one of my the simplest yet great statements, where folks are always, you got to treat everyone the same. That's just simply not possible within the human condition. But treating everyone fairly and understanding what they're going through, I think is really important to being a great leader.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, very, very nicely put together. You cannot, even if you want that I want to treat everybody same, you cannot. But most important thing, you are fair to everyone, what they deserve and what they're looking from you, and you're giving them the best of you.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah. So going back to the topic, I can tell you, and we're saying we're not getting into too much about their personal life. Yes, we should not. But at the same time, I'll tell you one example where I was working with HP back in Sydney, we're going to establish this cloud data center at the Asia Pacific level. My team was working from Philippines. They were in Manila. And one of the guy, exceptionally very, very intelligent and very great guy. But suddenly I saw that his inputs are going downward. He's not as active or contributing, and he's taking more time than normally. Then I just had a chat with him, and one of the evenings said, "Hey, how's this going? Look, Dharam, to be honest, I'm going way in the deep, like a deep trouble at the moment. My family is about to separate, and my kids, I don't see them." And I just said, "What's happening? What's going on?" Look, Dharam, I'm normally in 2 shifts. Sometime I had to get into 3 shifts because somebody didn't turn up on that night. And when I reach home, I don't see my son is sleeping. When I come out, he's still sleeping or gone school. So I don't get to see him and my wife and the relationship and all this he was talking about. And I was just listening. And I said, "Look, I cannot do much about what's going with you in your personal life, but let me do what I can do from my side." When I talk to my boss, "Hey, Bob, this is what's happening. And if you think this program is the most important for HP at the moment, we need to have this team working in our time zone." And he did something magically happen, and he got into my team and my time zone. And he got, now the relationship was different level. So now he said, "Dharam, don't worry. At any time, if you are struggling with anything in your program or milestone dates, I'll be the last person to leave the home and leave the desk." So that commitment he's shown me many, many times. So that was incredible. That was just simple building relationship, talking to the person.
Yeah, and that creates such a great loyalty within the team as well. And again, when you go through adversity, because undoubtedly every project that you take on or any type of task, you're going to have adversity, and being able to go through that together and being better for it and everyone learning from it, I think just makes the team even better for future endeavors.
Okay, great. So let's get into our topic today. What is the role of emotional intelligence in agile teams, and why is it so important in today's project environment?
When I first saw this question, I really I think it's definitely going to be beneficial for folks listening to this or watching this, that we really kind of define each of those particular terms with the emotional intelligence versus emotional agility. And so in the framework of kind of how I am going to be talking about it with you today is I actually did a little bit of research, and to define it as emotional intelligence is defined as being aware of and in control of one's emotions. Of course, we've already talked about that. On the other hand, emotional agility is defined as approaching one's inner experiences mindfully and productively, a feat that has become increasingly challenging during the COVID pandemic. So again, they go hand in hand a lot, but I wanted to at least kind of create the difference where, of course, we can have emotional intelligence, but how you use that can sometimes be a detriment, where maybe when you're suppressing some of those feelings can create some issues where you might have scar tissue, or you fall into a continuous type of habit where you might be scared to take on a particular opportunity because you might feel a certain way and not be evaluating how valid those concerns are. But so I wanted, at least before we get into that, kind of define that. But the role of emotional intelligence in today's teams, why is it so important? It certainly is because of the interconnected world that we truly live in now, where we have teams spread across the entire globe, and everyone's dealing with different things a certain way. Certainly you have cultural barriers, even within business, and having different ways of doing things. Certainly it's some of the challenges that I face, where the U.S. is certainly used to doing business a certain way, but in other parts of the world where I have to explain how things aren't necessarily done that way in other parts of the world, and even dealing with typically in this part of the world, your week is Sunday through Thursday, where in the U.S. the work week is Monday through Friday. So navigating all those little things and being able to take advantage of some of the opportunities, but also being able to mitigate some of the other challenges within those things. It's got to be part of your overall plan and your mitigation strategy. But with the emotional intelligence, certainly, again, with facing all of the different challenges and risks associated with projects throughout the world, being able to truly understand your team is going to be the key to being a good leader and ultimately defining whether you succeed or not in the project that you take on. And so being in tune with that, having the emotional intelligence to not necessarily react as soon as you hear some maybe negative news. Kind of one of the things that I've learned, especially in the last few years, as I've taken on more leadership roles, and certainly with watching how my mentors respond to things, I don't necessarily respond positively or negatively at first. I like to hear kind of the devil in the details, so to speak, before we can either celebrate or sound the alarm, so to speak, and getting the facts to be able to appropriately respond to the situation is of utmost importance in dealing with the challenges of today's world. And I know with all the new technologies, it's even more important, as every day, quite frankly, is something new that no one's had to work with before.
Exactly. And especially when we talk about agile world and agile projects, programs happening around the world, and agile being, there are three types of environment we're talking. One is agile structure or framework we have, or we have a waterfall or predictive, and the hybrid, where mix of both. So in different type of projects, you have different type of skills required. Agile being, where things are happening very fast, as the name suggests. We are working with the product owner and the team together, almost everything happening same time, very fast. And everybody has to perform really well. And in that team environment, you may find somebody is not performing as expected. And it's not that they don't want to contribute. It's just something is hindering them. And so, one of the role you play as a Scrum Master or project manager is a servant leader. Of course, you need to create an environment where everybody can perform as expected, or with stopping or removing all the hurdles for them. Same thing with the personality, person who is not performing as expected, or he used to or she used to, then probably talk to the person, understand what's going on. As may not be in part of your role description, but as a part of leader, you should do that, so that you can connect with the person and find out, and maybe you can do some from your side, just by listening, or maybe some basic things can be done easily.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a massive type of fix every time. Sometimes just the littlest of tweaks is all that it takes. So
tightening the bolt a little bit.
Exactly, just a little bit of refinement. So for folks watching this, definitely don't always have to reinvent the wheel every time. A lot of times, even I always equate it to the game of golf. You look at some of these PGA Tour players where one week they can just be absolutely horrible and miss the cut, and they go to the driving range and make one little tweak. I mean, it's the most simplest of things. It could be where your finger is placed on the grip of the golf club, and all of a sudden they find it again, and then they go and win the next week. So it's just those type of little tweaks sometimes that can make all the world a difference.
Yeah, and just let me give you my example. When I'm working with my student like you came to me with PgMP, PfMP, and so many people. One of the things I do is before the exam, 7 days to 10 days of your exam, I have a conversation with you. So I talk about not just you already learned what I have to give you, I've already given you. Now I'm talking to you how you're going to control your emotions and yourself in the next 7 days, on the last 24 hours, last night, morning of the exam, during the exam. those small things make a huge difference. Huge difference. I've seen people say, Dharam, I wanted to give you a surprise. That's why I didn't tell you. And that sometimes, most of the time, it's negative because they didn't, it's not I'm just saying they're not prepared. They were not able to control themselves in this tough, these two tough exams. But if you know how to manage my, time, remaining time and my exam time, things can be hugely different. Not always knowledge is most maybe how to control myself and how to navigate through this the stressful environment or stressful exam make a huge difference.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Dharam. That's a fantastic example. When you were talking about that, it just brought me back. I mean, as some folks know, when I came to you, I had failed the PgMP exam one time, and it wasn't necessarily that I didn't know the material, but it was just the way I had compartmentalized some things was not right. And but you built my confidence back, and going through the material and kind of retaught it to me in a way that was more logical. And by the time it was time to take the test again, actually we were far ready long before that time, but you had built the confidence back up. So you made a little bit of a tweak, and then you built my confidence up to where we blew it out of the water. So you're exactly right in that.
And then you did mention the difference between your first attempt when you went, you were really stressed and worried. But next time, the guy sitting there, view person, you're looking, are you serious? You coming for exam? You're smiling, your face is glowing, and you said, I'm going to crack the exam.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I went to that place, and everybody usually is trying to cram maybe a couple little last minutes of studying. I remember even driving to the exam. It was about a 25-minute drive, and I just was cool and calm. And I didn't review anything that morning. I just got up, had a cup of coffee, and showered up and drove over there. And when I sat down and did the check-in and are you ready? It was like the lights came on. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So that's the difference in just doing some small tweaks to where it makes for a huge bit of difference.
I know, and you came out with the 4-hour exam in 2.5 hours, smashed it. Yeah, so that's great. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Small input from the leader or the manager can make a huge difference. The team was struggling, dragging the thing. Oh my God, so much work, so much heat. As you come there with the wand of math, magical wand with all the magic that you have, with smile and the discussion, talking. Hey guys, you're doing great, fantastic, and we're going to have party together tonight, and some small thing. Okay, somebody's struggling. Let's talk about it. What is going on? Let's give that person a little bit boost, and that makes a huge difference in your success. And somebody who's not succeeding because not just they're not ready, they're not prepared. It's just they were not able to handle the emotions at the time of exam or the job they are doing.
Yeah, exactly. Having that belief, and of course it is part of your preparation. And like you said, having those discussions beforehand, in the week leading up to the exam, it's very important. A lot of people forget, they discount that and don't necessarily. That is just as important as your regular preparation. And you really have to go in there not just knowing the material, but having that game plan and executing to the T makes a huge difference.
Good. Thank you. So getting into, I think we start talking about this emotional intelligence versus emotional agility. You want to take it further on this?
I think for the most part we've covered it. I mean, I do see you can't just be emotionally intelligent or be emotional agility. They really do go hand in hand. But they are different. I want to be clear on that. And being able to understand the timing and what is required for that particular situation, and also having that self-awareness of not necessarily of just a lot of times, especially as a leader, where we kind of get in the habit of suppressing those maybe our own initial emotions, and that can lead to bad habits as well. So understanding within yourself that, hey, I have to be upfront and honest with myself. Am I Am I trying to avoid this particular situation because of a previous type of issue that bit me in the you know what, or something like that? I want to make sure that folks are aware that, hey, make sure you're always evaluating yourself as well and approaching the situation with a clean slate every time, because every situation is going to be different. I kind of call it like a unique fingerprint. So I want to just make sure that folks have that understanding as well, and always be evaluating yourself and your own behaviors, because it can lead to bad habits if you're not emotionally aware of your own.
Yeah, and actually, I want to take a little bit further. And I was listening Osho this morning, and he's talking about that we work on 3 levels: conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind. So most of the time we have a face and we're smiling and trying to do something, and that's where showing, that's more like acting. Your body, you act in the situation. But people inside, there's a subconscious mind, or I mean, let's not go into unconscious. That's even a more deeper discussion. If you can connect yourself with your unconscious mind and you behave yourself according to that, then that's a huge difference in your way you achieve your results. Take yourself to the next level. So I think this can be achieved by doing some self-awareness, or like meditation, or thinking about what's going on with you personally and what you really want to achieve in your life. Sometimes we want to achieve something. I want to be the best photographer in the world, but my parents are asking me to be a doctor. But you have the skills and the experience you're going through. You're suppressing yourself and going through, okay, what my parents are asking for. So that's where you have to act on it as you're a doctor, even you're the best doctor, but still don't feel accomplished, because you have not fulfilled your ambitions or your wish. You are fulfilling the wishes of other people.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And even kind of discussing that even more, given the time of year, and it's the month of August, and knowing as it's the dog days of summer in the US, and football season is here, American football season, I should say, just to clarify for others. It's fall camp time, and let's just say it's one of the most physically and mentally exhausting periods that you have to go through when you're a part of that. And I always remember, look, it's every day where you're just getting crushed physically and mentally, and you're waking up at 5 a.m. and your day doesn't end till about 10:30 a.m. and you get up and go back and do it again for 2.5, 3 weeks, and you're just constantly in the grind, in the meat grinder. And how those coaches motivate you to really kind of, as we say, you have to embrace the situation. And everybody knows, in fact, everybody always kind of thinks that it's the hard part is for the players. And as I got older, I realized that yes, it's hard for the players, but it's even harder for the coaches, because they have to evaluate film, and they're at the facility even longer than you are. And at first I thought those coaches would kind of be, almost faking it to kind of get the positiveness out of the players, but in reality, they were embracing it, because quite frankly, they had it even harder than us. And it's bad when the coach's family and children start coming to lunch and everything at the facility, because they haven't seen their father, in weeks. And so that's, as you get older, you start to realize that, man, I'm thinking as a player, I've got it really hard. But in reality, they have it even worse, because they're there pretty much sleeping at the offices. And so, having that understanding and being a leader where it's even worse for the coaches, but yet they're coming to the job. We all know this is not fun, but it's part of the process, and it's going to make us better. Really understanding that, and again, I didn't understand how bad the coaches had it until I was about a senior, when I realized, wow, it's even worse for them. It may not necessarily be physically more demanding, but for their own time and mental, preparation, and being able to figure out what motivates their players, quite frankly, it's much harder than just going out and practicing. So that again, having that larger perspective and macro view will really help you be a better leader again at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think about when you're brushing your teeth. Of course, you have a toothpaste. When you have a brand new toothpaste, you squeeze, you have the paste coming out of it. But the coaches are the one. Even the paste is out of everything. The last dot is out. They still squeeze it, take the last dot out of you, because they know there's still potential left in you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Finding a way to squeeze blood out of a turnip, as they say.
Exactly. And the moment you cross that boundary, there's exceptional person sitting in you.
That's right. That's when you achieve greatness, is when you literally take yourself to the brink and then find that little bit more. And you're that's legendary.
Exactly. I mean, I'm also working with people, many people around the world. I'm mentoring them, not just the PgMP, PfMP, PMP, which that's one of the passion I have. Second, but these people, they wanted to grow themselves out. They're coming from, very, underprivileged background to exceptionally. I want to see them they're performing exceptionally. So if you work with them on the conscious mind, that you have to do anyway. But you need to get down into the subconscious mind and take them to the lowest level so they can realize really who they are and what they really want to be. As that's where I'm talking about the mentor or the coach, squeezing out the last drop from you. That's what makes a difference between the leaders and ordinary leaders.
No, I agree. I actually have a gentleman that I would consider him a friend, and for a long time I was just beating him up about getting his PMP certification, and I would always hear excuses, quite frankly, and it would be for like 8 months. It'd be whatever excuses, and then he would come up with new ones. And I finally just said, I was like, I don't want to hear that excuse come out of your mouth again. I was like, you can do whatever you want to do. You just have to want to do it. And I'm happy to report he does have his PMP. He's already got his RMP, and now he's looking at going for PgMP. So again, it's that mindset and being able to achieve that greatness. It's all within us, and it's just making sure we harness it and finding a way to achieve it.
And do I know this person?
You do not yet. I will.
Okay.
I will be introducing you to him.
Okay, I was thinking about my student who is also your project manager who got training sometime back early January, and still I've not heard from him.
Yeah, I'm still on that one too. I'm still on that one, Dharam. There might not be as emotional intelligence with that. It's just a straight foot up as you know what at this point, but he knows it's all from love and wanting the best for him.
Exactly. Look, you had to work with him, Animal. So I was actually thinking about him when you're describing that he got PgMP, now RMP, he got a PgMP. I was feeling, oh my God, he finally. Anyway, so that's the topic of another day.
Well, what I'm doing though, because those two know each other, so I'm pitting one against the other, saying, "Hey, he's got 2 of them done now. Where you at?" So yeah.
Exactly. All right, let's move to the next question. How can agile principles and practice be leveraged to enhance emotional intelligence in individual and teams?
Well, I think for the most part, having that agile mindset, I think will, again, because of all the different changes that are always happening within whatever you're dealing with, whether it be professionally or personally. Again, having that agile mindset and understanding like, hey, things are going to happen. Things are not necessarily going to go exactly how we planned it. There might be some little wrinkles that we have to iron out or get around. And so and expecting the unexpected really will set yourself up for success. Even in my football days, when I personally felt like I had a bad practice, but then when I go to the tape, it wasn't as bad as it seems. And then there were times where I felt like I had a great practice, and then I went to the tape and I'm reviewing it, and reality was it wasn't as good as I thought it was. So, for me, one of my best things that I've adopted, no matter what I do, is it's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. And so trying to keep that even keel mindset, I think has done me well. And really, again, that's principally is an agile mindset of where, hey, that allows me to be able to adapt to whatever situation. And again, I kind of take that to all my teams where, again, this is how I want you to respond to something like this when you're going to be faced with this situation. And it has done my teammates well. And really we've adopted that entirely to where, hey, when there is an issue, let's talk about it. Let's figure out what was the cause of that. How can we make sure that that doesn't happen again, and then move forward? And not only that, again, that's more on the quote unquote negative side, so to speak, but there also is times where, hey, this could be an opportunity where we really expand a particular contract opportunity or some existing scope or existing work with some new scope. Let's see how we can leverage our current capabilities to help this customer out. So again, being able to have that mindset and not just be just so solely focused, I think will do any particular team or project manager or leader well overall and make them more successful.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Agile has, we talk about there's so many 12 practices or principles they stand on, 12 or 14, something like that. I mean, sorry, I don't remember. But those practices we can apply in our day-to-day project management or Agile or whatever way you're doing it, and applying the emotion intelligence and get the best out of ourselves and our team. What you're talking about, yeah.
Yep.
All right. How does emotional intelligence impact decision making within Agile teams?
I would actually even say not just Agile teams, but overall, that emotional intelligence, it really is the basis. Again, I kind of really talked about it with the last question of, again, let's understand the situation entirely. Let's get the facts before we respond to something. Let's not just fly off the handle because we heard something or this particular situation has presented to it, but we may be trying to work on a fix that wasn't necessarily the issue to start with. So again, having that understanding of the whole situation and how we got to where we're at, I think will really help define you, as an overall team, regardless whether you're traditional or Agile. I think is truly the basis and where you need to approach things. Where again, get the facts first before you respond. And
talk to all the parties, not just one-sided and one opinion, not being biased towards something or somebody. You need to see holistically. Take yourself up, lift yourself up, and see what really happening there. Is it this person, that person, or the situation, or something else happening? So if you take yourself out of that discussion and see from outside, things can be very different. And without making a decision at the same time, let me listen and let me analyze it. And then after thinking, then you talk to them.
So, exactly. Even in your personal relationships where, interesting enough, I had a friend of mine talking to me the other day about another friend of theirs was having some challenges within their relationship. And of course, then they were talking to me about it. And I said, well, there's his version of the truth. It's her version of the truth. And then there is the real truth somewhere in the middle, so I'm not going to necessarily, get involved with it, but understand that, there's several perspectives involved in this. And I'm not necessarily going to take a side where I don't have the facts. And in reality, they both need to sit down and handle it like adults anyway. So yeah, even in the personal life, being able to truly approach things like that, I think will help you lead a lot less stressful life.
I think I will take it differently. Not his version of truth or her version of truth. It is her version of false allegation versus his allegations. So sometimes we just made up based on our own perception or what is going on, and the small thing, small thing or small issue which could have been resolved long time back, we just keep building on top of it. Then that's so fast we gone to, then it's difficult for them to come back to the normal when they started. So I like to say that, okay, let's say where the start happened, what was the reason for these arguments? And if you can go back to that root cause of the problem, then it's very, that's a long-term solution rather than patches. Okay, guys, get together. I don't care how, spend 6 months together and you'll find the love again. No, it's not going to work like that. Unless
Exactly.
you have removed that underlying problem, it will not go away.
Yeah, it can be as something as little as just a little misunderstanding, and then you just keep letting that build and build and build until the other person continues to build on that one misunderstanding that created a little bit of friction, to where then they explode on the other, and you really look back at it and you're like, wow, again, you have to be honest with yourself. When you look back, you're like, wow, I let that get out of hand over something really dumb, you know.
Yeah. And that's where the conflict management skills come in picture. We talk about, how to, to understand the situation and look at the context and look at the hear from everybody. And then, provide your view. You're not DC. Sometimes, yes, you are. Again, this also depends on the situation. If you have to solve the problem without that, you cannot do, then you spend time. If you have to, let's say, working on the deadline, let's get that deadline, and then on the side, let's talk about this. But yes, you need to see the situation, my way or highway, or let's come to a solution.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what are the challenges or potential conflict may arise when incorporating emotional intelligence into agile teams, and how they can be addressed?
Well, I think kind of some of it we just talked about as well. If there's
Yeah.
some existing friction on within some teammates, certainly we've already covered that. But kind of some of the, again, I think I talked about it, at least touched on it earlier, where let's say a particular leader has learned to suppress those emotions, but they become really kind of stuck in those ways, and it can create some issues where, as a leader, you're continuously just shying away from opportunities because of maybe some scar tissue. And again, I think that's where it really becomes an issue, where then all of a sudden your team is a bit frustrated with you, because as a leader, you're kind of disengaging when it comes to certain elements. And so I think overall, again, as a leader, you really need to be honest with yourself. And of course, within the teams, again, like you and I have talked about, just having a root cause understanding of, all right, why did we, where did this come from? Why are we such enemies at the moment? And it doesn't need to be that way. And again, sometimes you just need to go out and get away from the daily grind of work. Just having some type, go out to lunch together and just talk about anything other than work, and understand each other's families, or again, what motivates them and what are their goals. I think, again, when you kind of get out of the meat grinder once in a while and understand that, hey, we're all just trying to make a living and support our families and better ourselves. And again, I think you might realize that you have a lot more in common than you do in differences.
Oh, definitely. This is the most important tip you have given. Like, we are all working in so much high pressure environment. We are running behind the deadlines, and, the customers' expectations are changing every day, and the product description changing, go to market. We are so much into, do, fast, how fast we can get. And it's not stopping there. You have finished just something, and you have some 5 things already lined up for you. And then you continue. So if you look back, wow, half of my life is gone without even looking where I am. This is where I am, 35, 40, 50-year-old. And did I really live my life? We are in the rat race. We continue to, we ourselves are in the rat race because we want to have more money, better car, bigger house, and, all these luxuries. In that, we also putting ourselves like a, rat, like continue on that, continue without realizing the life. But if you take yourself back, and let's say, okay, hang on, let's see where I am. Do I really need to run behind these things? Can I take a step back? And yeah, so you have something to say?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of times, especially in we constantly are trying to look at the things that separate us, when in reality the commonalities far outweigh the differences. And I think a lot of times it's always focused on the differences instead of the overwhelming majority of commonalities. I think that's where we as folks, really kind of focus on the wrong things sometimes.
Yeah. Another thing you talked about, the suppression the leaders always trying to get the best out of the team, and they said, okay, just do it, putting pressure, extra pressure. They're thinking that putting pressure, that they can get the things done at the time. But the moment the pressure is released, those people will run away from you. They don't want to work for you. So, and that's why we say, if you are boiling water in a kettle with everything is closed, what happens when the steam coming out? If there's no opening because of so much compression, it will blast. That happens, if you're the team member, you're putting pressure. Suddenly one day you see that emotions are coming out from that person, because all those days where you're putting pressure suddenly come out. You need to keep an eye. That's where the emotional intelligence is all about.
Absolutely. And you can't run your team into the ground. You have to be able to know when to push the gas pedal to be able to get something across the finish line. But you have to establish kind of a standard pace. And of course, you want to stay on that particular pace. And there are times where you have to be able to step on the gas to deliver on a high or important deadline, but you can't put them in that vice all the time. And like you said, if you do, they're gonna resign, and you're never gonna be able to grow your team and maintain the culture of a great winning team. It's always going to be trying to just find someone to replace, and you're ultimately what'll end up happening. If one person leaves, then the other one's going to be expected to pick up the pieces, and it becomes a domino effect. And so you got to make sure that you're aware and being able to push the button when you need to get your team to go. But in the other times, you have to be able to not necessarily put the pedal to the metal all the time. You have to give them some breathing room.
Exactly. Good. Thank you. So how can emotional agility positively impact relationships and communication at work and personal life?
I think that goes right into what we just talked about. I mean, we kind of talked about more on the negative side, but being able to, as a leader, having your team, they understand the pace, so to speak, but then building that additional capacity to be able to maybe take on larger projects within that same type of framework of scope. And then ultimately what ends up happening when you're building that capacity, folks are able to take vacations a little bit more where, they can truly disconnect. I know there was a long time where, if I truly disconnected from work, there'd be a lot of bad things happening to where, the things just never stop. And so being able to have someone that can really pick up the torch while you're gone, at least for 2 weeks, that makes such a difference. And being able to be refreshed when you come back and not being stressed the whole time while you're on vacation going, gee, I wonder what, mess I'm going to be coming back to at work, in 2 weeks, I think is, that's very big just overall for personal relationships, but it helps with the professional side as well. And being able to have team members that can pick up the slack while you're gone. I think that, again, we of course kind of always talk about how to have personal and professional lives separately, but let's be honest with each other. They do bleed into one another. They can affect one another. And so being honest about that and making sure that you provide the best environment to where, I've seen a lot of work environments hurt personal lives and relationships. And so that we definitely don't want to be doing that. So it's very much to the company's benefit and as a leader to be mindful of those particular situations, which if you are, it'll create great positivity.
Exactly. And to take this a little bit further, emotional agility, that tells you, because you're inside, it's going to make happen. You have to make it possible. You can see the light beyond after the tunnel of, so you need to create that motivation and vision to your team. As a leader, you can say, guys, yes, we are struggling. We are going through this tough time, but I can see the light. It's not far away and it's there. And we just have to push a little bit further. And that motivates everybody. Imagine you are in a dark tunnel, you cannot see anything. And after a while, everybody starts losing the confidence. Okay, this is it. Our life is gone, finished. But a leader say, no, hang on. I can see little light somewhere. I can see tiny, and this is where we have to be there. Everybody say, yeah, makes sense. That's where we have to go. And that's where you create a positive environment. Everybody is motivated, excited, push each other. And then before you realize you are outside, you actually see you are in the light. So that makes a huge difference for for the team members. So the positive leader and that's create the vibes and motivation, and you find the results. Sometimes unexpected results you get.
Spot on, my friend. Yep.
All right, let's talk about the next one. What are the key components and characteristics of emotional intelligence? How can an individual effectively develop and cultivate these elements to enhance emotional intelligence?
Well, the first part of your question, even just going off what you just talked about, Dharam, I think transparency is a big thing, and being able to be transparent, letting them know, like, hey, the light is at the end of the tunnel. We're almost there. I know it's been rough, but we are almost there. And hey, we have another opportunity after this because we've done such a good job. This is upcoming. We're going after this particular project. And again, having the team buy into that, to where then it becomes to where the team itself really kind of starts to govern and police itself, to where as a leader, you're focusing more on stakeholder engagement and taking care of the next thing that's upcoming, where you can almost, as a leader, take on, really growth and a business development type role within your own program or project. I think those are some of the key characteristics, along with all the ones we've talked about today, being able to understand your team, what makes them tick, and then also stakeholder engagement, all those things. But the transparency is definitely a big thing. I know a lot of times where leaders just get caught up so much in the day-to-day that they don't give the team the vision or an update on where we're going and what's next, and it's just stuck in the same old all the time. And so I think it's very important to make sure that you have that kind of communication, transparency with your team. In regards to the second part, how can individuals effectively develop and cultivate these elements? For me, I always try and keep it simple. And what works for me is, again, relationships are really everything. And being able to understand your team members, what makes them motivated, and figuring out what keeps them productive. I think that is the biggest thing. And I've gone to bat for team members many times where other let's say leaders didn't necessarily believe in them, and where hey, that created a bond between us that really has propelled them to other success when other leaders didn't want them at that time. And somehow I was able to find a way to motivate them, and they're one of the top performers in the company now. And so again, it's not of course I always get a little hard time for it once in a while, where Justin, well, you have the A team. Well, understand that A team was somebody else's quote unquote junk at one time, and they've become that. I'm not necessarily going to say it's because of me, but there was an environment to where they were able to excel. And so they get to see the fruits of that labor. But at one time they were somebody else's throwaways at that time. Just so happened to be that I found what motivated them. And from then on, it became within that team, it became a competition within each other to who could make a more perfect, field distribution box, and all the wiring and how it's laid out. What a great problem to have, when my team is competing against each other to then judge one another to say, no, mine's still better. Or, that's when you're truly, creating excellence. And when the customer comes out and literally they travel from the US to Saudi Arabia, and you open up one of those distribution boxes, they go, I've seen enough. Thanks for the vacation. Let's go and let's get ready for testing now. That's when you're truly, operating at a high level. And it continues to this day. So those are some of the things that have worked for me, but it all starts with the relationships and being genuine. Do not be fake, or don't try and be somebody that you're not. Do it within yourself to where it comes out naturally, because those team members can always tell whether you're being fake or you're real. So it's best to just be upfront and honest and be yourself. and find and create an atmosphere that the team can excel in.
Oh, definitely. The relationship building, relationship management, part of the, this is what emotional intelligence is one of the key area. And you correctly said, that somebody's junk team, now it is high performing team. What happened in between? It's the same people, probably same environment, but you as a leader come and you see the strengths and weaknesses and, worked on that and created the environment, you created the vibes, the emotions, and you take this junk team, suddenly the high performance team. And yes, that's where the leadership, the visionary leadership come in picture. Why people are getting, sometimes you see that somebody is given millions of dollars as a CEO of the company because they are the proven people. They are going to make the difference to the company, and they actually do that. They know how to get there by having the right people, right vibes, right motivation, giving the right direction, goals and objectives, realistic goals and objective, and take them there.
Absolutely. That's when you're really having a lot of fun. Again, it's contagious, and winning is contagious. And when you continue to win, other people want to be a part of your team. And so that's when you're really, again, then as a leader, you're wanting to make sure you protect that environment to where you don't necessarily bring in a quote unquote bad egg that could ruin that great environment that you have. And so again, as a leader, you're constantly, you want to guard that from, again, you want to be welcoming to all, but you also have to do a little bit of vetting to make sure that that's going to be a right fit, because sometimes you're going to have those type of folks that just aren't going to be able to get along. But again, I even when you're in that particular situation, I've been able to mentor some folks that, in reality, they couldn't stand that one team member that came into the situation. But again, I was able to sit down with them and go, okay, you might not necessarily like this person, but here's why they came in, because they can help us win in this particular technical need that we have. And so again, having them get out of just their own little tunnel vision box, have them see the macro picture and go, okay, well, this person can help us win. All right, this is how I'm going to start approaching it now that I understand this is why we brought him in. Again, that's the type of transparency that is vital in being able to move forward.
Absolutely right. Good. Thank you. How can project manager utilize emotional intelligence to enhance their leadership abilities and cultivate more productive relationships?
I think we've mostly covered that one, my friend. Again, it's really, again, I can't emphasize enough. You can read about anything and everything that can make you be more a better leader. But again, it's not just reading something and then go carbon copy it and just, it's just word speak at this point. Again, sit down, think about how you can incorporate those ideas or concepts within your own way of how you're presenting things. Don't try and become somebody that you're not. Use it with your own particular style and be able to bring it out in a positive light to where it seems genuine and original in your own presentation. That's the biggest thing that I would recommend. Again, don't be somebody that you're not.
Actually, it's dangerous if you're trying to follow somebody else blindly without knowing too much, without you experiencing that same thing, what other person going on, what is happening with the other person. You just blind follower, and you have no idea what's going on in the other person's mind. He can actually, emotionally blackmail you or something. But I'm not going to that. But what I'm saying is, to be that person, you have to feel it. You need to go through the same emotion the other person has gone through, and you need to live with those moments. And once you feel inside, then your own personality, what you want to be, where you achieve, you want to exceed your expectation, not anybody else's expectation. You want to see the best version of yourself, not somebody else. Mimicking somebody else, some Bollywood actor or Hollywood actress or something like that. It look good, so you can please few people, but not for the long time. You have to be yourself and be yourself and the best of yourself.
Exactly.